Everyone should have the right to read any book they want without restriction or interference from a sanctimonious blowhard. I call that freedom. Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg. Today I am doing the Banned Books tag. This tag was created by Katrina at Ms. Peepers-Reading-Corner. I was tagged by Isaiah at That Reading Guy. This is the week after the official Banned Books week, but I still want to talk about banned books because every week, every day, is a day or a week that conscientious readers should be thinking about banned books. Why is there this rise in people wanting to ban books? Because it is becoming rather epidemic in the United States of America. Probably less so elsewhere in the world. All these places in the elsewhere parts probably do have a little bit of the banned books epidemic, although not as serious as in the United States. But here, in the country that I live in, it's very important that we think about why books are being banned. And this is not my first video on this topic. I've done at least a half dozen, maybe more, and I will probably be doing more in the future. But this tag has 6 prompts to help people consider and think about banned books. Prompt number 1. Do you intentionally read banned books? Why or why not? Yes, I do intentionally read banned books. I try to read a banned book for every banned book weeks. I am also a participant, rather lazily, in I'm with the Banned Book Club run by MJ at Reading This Life. That club is to help people read banned books. And why is it important to read banned books? Because it is a measure of society. What society believes, or some people believe, that others should not know about. Now, I am going to hold up my coffee mug of banned books. You will notice that it has Howl, Tropic of Cancer, Madame Bovary, Naked Lunch, Animal Farm, Les Miserables, Lolita, The Catcher in the Rye. Those are all great and fantastic books. And at one time, they were at the top of the banned books list. The type of books being banned right now are not these old classics. They're mostly books dealing with the LGBTQ community or people of color, because there are lots of bigots in this country that believe younger people or older people should not know about these topics. Well, that's why I read some of the modern banned books. But to be perfectly honest, my reading tastes are for the classic banned books. That does not mean I will not read one of the contemporary banned books every now and then. They're just not usually my cup of tea. But I will read a few every year because I want my finger on the pulse. Why do people think these books should be banned? I mentioned in another video about a queer memoir that I read that someone said was highly obscene and gross, and it turned out to be nothing of the sort. But that is why I want to deliberately read banned books. I want my finger on that pulse. I want to deeply understand why some people have this inner hatred to others who are different, but they're just people. Prompt number 2. Tell us about your favorite banned book. That's kind of hard. Again, if you look on this coffee mug, there are a lot of great books that I love. But I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to go with a book that is currently and frequently being banned in many schools, and that is Mouse by Art Spiegelman. This is a graphic memoir of the artist and him dealing with his father, who was a survivor of Auschwitz. And it's all told, as I said, in a comic book form. The Jews are mice and the Nazis are cats. And why this book was banned? Well, the official reason it's banned is that there's some cartoon mouse nudity. It's nothing to be right home about. The real reason I think mouse gets banned is it because it tells the story of cruelty, of people willing to do demeaning and awful things to Jews, or in this case, the mice. And maybe parents have sympathy for the cats, the Nazis in this book, and they don't want their children to know how awful the Holocaust was. That's the real reason I think this book is banned, and that is why I think it should be required reading. Anyone, I would say, in 10th grade or above can easily read this book, and they should read it. They should know history. They should know the cruelty that happened to the Jews during World War II and what it was like to live in Auschwitz. And more importantly, this graphic memoir deals with the outcome, the survivors of Auschwitz. Art Spiegelman's father never really got over his mistreatment in the death camps. And that is why everyone should be reading this, and why it is one of my favorite contemporary banned books. Number 3, share a story about a book banning. I'm going to skip number 3 for now, because in prompt number 5, I'm going to deal with it. Prompt number 4, which book would you memorize to save it from the censors, a la Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury? If you are not familiar with that book, and to be honest, you should be familiar with that book, it is a science fiction novel set in the future where all books are outlawed and banned. If a book is discovered, a fireman sets fire to the book collection and destroys it. But there is a resistance group that memorizes a book to protect it from the firemen. So the whole idea is that once it's in your head, the firemen cannot burn the book. And I think I would pick A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole, because this is a hilarious portrayal of a truly awful human being named Ignatius Riley. And he is truly awful, but he's absolutely hilarious. And through his awfulness, he actually brings people together. What a magnificent novel. So I would try to memorize it. I don't know if my memory is actually that good to get it done. In reality, I probably should have picked a shorter book, but someone is going to have to memorize the longer books. I pity the fool who's going to have to memorize War and Peace. War and Peace is a book that someone would have to memorize in this futuristic society envisioned by Ray Bradbury. Prompt number 5. Are there any books that challenge your opinions on book banning? Be honest. Tell us more. Well, way back in the 90s, I worked for Borders Books. I was a special order clerk, and that meant that I would receive requests from customers to order a book that was not normally stocked in the bookstore. And one day I got a request for The Turner Diaries by Andrew MacDonald. That is the pen name for William Luther Pierce. If you are not familiar with The Turner Diaries, it is an extreme tract in support of white supremacy. Normal publishers would not touch that book with a 10-foot pole. I have not read the book, but I am told that it's rather extreme and rather disturbing because it is so forceful in its advocacy of white supremacy and the elimination of minorities and other such folk. Well, I saw this book on the order form, and I went to my manager and I said, "Do you know what this book is?" And the manager said, "Yes, I know what it is." And I said, "Do you want me to order it anyway. And he thought about it, and he said, let me get back to you. So a few days later, he came to me and says, order the book. And what I presume is that he went to the front office, or not went to the front office, he called the front office and said, do we want to be associated as a bookstore ordering this book and providing it to the public? And I guess the thought of the head office was, we are not in charge. We do not restrict people's right to read what they want to read. So I went ahead and ordered the Turner Diaries directly from the publisher. And I got it a month later. This is back in the 90s. It took a while to get books. And it had the book, but it had all this gross paraphernalia and pamphlets in support of white supremacy. So I took it on my own. I just gave the customer the book, and I threw away the rest of that white supremacy trash. I think that is the best response to books that I personally disagree with. That it should not be banned. It should not be restricted. People have the right to read what they want, even if it's utter rubbish and garbage. Another novel along the similar line of the Turner Diaries is The Camp of Saints by Jean Raspel, a French science fiction novel from 1973. And in this novel, France and the rest of Western civilization collapses because Western civilization had liberal and progressive immigration policies, allowing those third world immigrants into their society. It has been called racist, xenophobic, nativist, and anti-immigrationist, and it is popular with the far right and white nationalist circles. But would I ban it? No, for reasons similar to the reasons I would not ban the Turner Diaries. But here's the thing that maybe I should start reconsidering. Both the Turner Diaries and the Camp of Saints are essentially hate speech. They are teaching one group of person to hate a different group of people. And should that be allowed? Should there be some sort of restriction when it involves hate speech, especially hate speech that encourages the destruction of other people? I still think books should not be banned, but should there be an exception for hate speech? But then what happens when one group of people, let's just say the white Christian nationalists, think that the atheists and the liberals are spewing hate speech against them? A very slippery slope, which is why I'm sort of all still on the line of don't ban books. One last book that some people may think should be banned, and that is The Anarchist Cookbook. This is a product of the 70s from a, at the time, far left radical who was telling people how to be an anarchist, how to build bombs, how to use drugs and guns. Now, one of the problems with this book is not only is it encouraging violence, so is a form of hate speech in and of itself, the author got it wrong. His instructions on building bombs, I have been told, are not good instructions. Don't follow this book if you want to build a bomb. Now, I have had this book since the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around that timeline, and I have yet to build a bomb or assemble a gun based on this book. So it sits on my shelf, just taking up space. I'm really not a far radical leftist, even though I own this book. But should this book be banned? Because it is explicitly telling you how to kill people, how to injure people, how to make devices of destruction. If any book should be banned, I'm sort of on the line on this one, saying maybe that should be restricted, maybe not. I'm still on the fence of that. Prompt number 6, tag people. Let's go with Ellen at Big Hard Books and Classics MJ at Reading This Life, Nathan at Art and Lit Matter, Michael Romeo at Michael Romeo Talks Books, and Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic, or anyone else. If you're watching this video and you want to discuss banned books, I encourage you to do so, because everyone should be talking about the epidemic and evil of banning books in the United States and maybe elsewhere in this world. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading banned books.